Quantum mechanics proves that ancient secret knowledge hidden in the Egyptian Book of the Dead and mystery cults were right. But why is the public unaware of this? The knowledge revealed in this video will change the way you look at your life and existence forever and shows that you're eternal. The discoveries in quantum mechanics, which is science's most successful theory, shows that matter does not exist, that everything behaves like immaterial waves, and that entangled particles across the universe can somehow communicate with each other instantly. Even though quantum mechanics has completely obliterated the idea that reality is material, the general public still believes that this is a material reality. Now, don't you find that strange? The founders and pioneers of quantum mechanics believed that it proved reality wasn't material, but rather a mental reality, a mathematical reality, a reality of energy. But the public is never told this information. Quantum mechanics was first developed in the early 1900s, and one of its founders and Nobel Prize winner Max Planck said, "As a man who has devoted his whole life to the most clear-headed science, to the study of matter, I can tell you as a result of my research about atoms this much: there is no matter as such." Now, what I just read to you was just the first part of his quote, and the rest of it will blow your mind. But first, the question is, if reality isn't material, then what is it? The fact is that quantum mechanics has left scientists utterly baffled and confused for over 100 years, but this information has existed for a lot longer. Could ancient Egypt and hidden mystery cults have actually held secret knowledge that science is only barely beginning to discover? Not only are you going to see that quantum mechanics shows that ancient knowledge was right, but you'll get a look into knowledge that science won't discover until years from now, and how it shows that you are eternal. One of the greatest quantum physicists, Werner Heisenberg, famous for the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, said that quantum mechanics proved that ancient knowledge was right all along. But before we see what he said exactly, and it's mind-blowing, we have to ask, what is this ancient knowledge? And to answer that question, we need to travel thousands of years in the past to the time of ancient Egypt. The Egyptian Book of the Dead is an ancient collection of texts written by priests over a period of 1,000 years to help the deceased navigate the afterlife. In a section that describes the creation of the universe, we find passages that describe reality as being mathematical. The self-created God, known as Atum, who existed both before and after the universe, describes the creation of the world. "This was the world in the beginning. I am one, seeing myself divided. I am 2 and 4 and 8. I am the universe in diversity. I am my transformations. This is my coming together. Here are my selves become one." Here, Atum describes the creation of the universe as a process of division from a singular unity into a multiplicity of diverse transformations. It's important to know that ancient Egypt was home to what were known as mystery schools, which taught the secrets of existence. This is important because the Greek philosopher and mathematician Pythagoras, famous for the Pythagorean theorem, traveled to Egypt around 535 BCE. According to the Greek writers Antiphon and Porphyry, Pythagoras learned to speak Egyptian from the pharaoh Amasis II himself, and studied with the Egyptian priests in Thebes, and was the only foreigner to ever be allowed to take part in their rituals. According to other ancient writers, Egypt is where Pythagoras learned about geometry and reincarnation. After studying in Egypt for what was likely decades, Pythagoras returned to Greece, bringing with him the knowledge of the Egyptian mysteries, and in Croton he established his own mystery school that taught secret knowledge. According to some sources, Pythagoras taught from behind a veil so that students could hear but not see him, and to hear his highest teachings, prospective members had to take a 5-year vow of silence. And what was it that Pythagoras taught? Very likely, much of it came from what he learned in the Egyptian mysteries. Pythagoras revealed that reality isn't actually material, but that it's mathematical. Similar to the passage in the Egyptian Book of the Dead, Pythagoras said, "All is number, and number rules the universe." Now, what exactly did the physicist Heisenberg say? Heisenberg said, all things are numbers is a sentence attributed to Pythagoras. In modern quantum theory, there can be no doubt that the elementary particles will finally also be mathematical forms. Elementary particles are certainly not eternal and indestructible units of matter. Heisenberg says that reality is not material and that Pythagoras was right to say that this is a mathematical reality, but this goes much further, because not only is this a mathematical reality, but it's also a mental reality, a kind of shared dream. Now, to understand this, we need to look to the philosopher Plato, who was very likely a member of the Pythagorean mystery school, and also took part in the Eleusinian mysteries, where members were sworn to secrecy under penalty of death. Some modern scholars even believe that psychedelic substances were used in their rituals. In 360 BCE, in his book The Timaeus, Plato presents a detailed description of the formation of the universe and reveals that all of matter is actually mathematical forms. Now, this is where the Platonic solids originate, which have become foundational to sacred geometry. But the key here is that Plato also says that the true reality, what he called the forms, is mind. Now, this connection between mathematics and mind is key. Here's what Heisenberg has to say about that. I think that modern physics has definitely decided in favor of Plato. In fact, the smallest units of matter are not physical objects in the ordinary sense. They are forms, ideas, which can be expressed unambiguously only in mathematical language. But how can reality be both mathematical and mental at the same time? Well, consider the concept of frequency. Frequency, sinusoidal waves, are purely mathematical ideas. That is, the concept of frequency is thought, mind, and it's mathematical. See, reality is both mental and mathematical because thought is frequency, and frequency is an entirely mathematical concept. This is why some people have the intuition that reality is some kind of simulation that runs on a code, and others think that it's like a dream. That's because the truth is that it seems like a code because reality is mathematical, and it feels like a dream because this is a mental reality. Now, what has quantum mechanics shown us? That when you examine the nature of matter, it turns out that it's not based on matter at all, but on waves. Frequencies. Now, this is all going to come back to the Egyptian Book of the Dead and how you are eternal, but remember that quote from Max Planck, founder of quantum mechanics, who said that there's no such thing as matter? Well, here's the rest of that quote. He said, "All matter originates and exists only by virtue of a force which brings the particles of an atom to vibration and holds this most minute solar system of the atom together. We must assume behind this force the existence of a conscious and intelligent mind. This mind is the matrix of all matter." So here Max Planck states that reality is fundamentally mind and not matter. But Planck said that a conscious and intelligent mind is behind all existence. But is that true? To understand that, we once again look to an ancient group known as the Gnostics. Now, we talk a lot about the Gnostics on my channel, and we know that their name comes from the Greek word for knowledge, and so they are the ones who know. They also had their own mystery school where they taught secret knowledge. And what did they teach? That the true reality wasn't material, but rather it was a divine mind. They taught that existence is all derived from the thoughts of a divine mind, and that each one of us are actually part of that divine mind, that we are pieces of that mind that have become trapped in material bodies and now exist in the dream of material existence. The ancient Hindu school of thought, Advaita Vedanta, teaches that existence is actually a mind called Brahman, and that we are actually Brahman experiencing its own dream world. Now remember that the Egyptian Book of the Dead describes reality as being a united mind that divides itself into many. It says, "This was the world in the beginning. I am one, seeing myself divided. I am 2 and 4 and 8. I am the universe in diversity. I am my transformations. This is my coming together. Here are my selves become one." Reality isn't controlled by some mind other than us. We are that mind that mathematically divides itself from a unity into a multiplicity and forgot that it did so. Why did it forget? So we could go through the thrill of coming together and knowing ourselves again. See, the ancient Gnostics thought that the goal of existence was for all of us to remember our true nature, that we aren't material bodies, but there were pieces of the divine mind. And Advaita Vedanta teaches that we must all realize that we are Brahman, the ultimate reality. And Plato taught that all learning was actually remembering. This is why ancient knowledge says, know thyself, and you will know the universe and the gods. That's because we, all of us, are the universe and the gods. We just forgot. Now, right now, as you listen and understand this video, you're beginning to realize what you and what all of us are. And when you understand that reality isn't material, but that it's mind, like a shared dream, all the discoveries in quantum mechanics that have baffled scientists for over a century make perfect sense. This is why matter behaves like immaterial waves, because matter is formed from frequencies of mind. This is why entangled particles can communicate with each other over vast distances instantly. It's because thought doesn't have to travel through anything, it's instant. This is why the founders of quantum mechanics insisted that reality could not be material, but must be mental. Max Planck said, "I regard consciousness as fundamental. I regard matter as derivative from consciousness. Everything that we talk about, everything that we regard as existing, postulates consciousness." Another pioneer of quantum mechanics, Erwin Schrödinger, famous for the Schrödinger equation and the Schrödinger's cat thought experiment, said, "Consciousness is fundamental, not matter." He said, "Consciousness cannot be accounted for in physical terms, for consciousness is absolutely fundamental. It cannot be accounted for in terms of anything else." This was understood over a century ago, yet modern scientists refuse to give up their belief in the material world. And Max Planck said that this is because scientists won't actually listen to reason, and that they've been brainwashed by their dogmatic belief in matter. What the ancients have been saying for thousands of years and has been confirmed by modern science through the discoveries of quantum mechanics is that this is a reality of mind. So what's the truth? What's really going on? What does it all mean? Well, all of us are eternal minds. We're beings of frequencies. When all of us are identical, we are a single united mind. This is because, by Leibniz's law, when multiple things are identical, they're actually the same thing. We are a single universal mind that divided itself into a multiplicity of minds by introducing difference. As eternal minds, all of us go through many bodies, many avatars across lifetimes where we learn, grow, and understand. Reality is an eternal, cyclical process of a unity dividing itself into a multiplicity, and then that multiplicity returning to unity. So what is the purpose of life? To have meaningful experiences together and understand what we are. Because the better we understand what we are, the more meaningful experiences we can create with that knowledge. Life is about enjoyment and understanding, experiencing, expressing, growth, knowledge, and learning. The sooner that humanity realizes what we all are, we can go from a terrible world where people hate each other for their differences to a thriving world where we celebrate our differences and learn from each other. The ancient mystery schools knew that this was a reality of mind for thousands of years. Reality is like a shared dream. Isn't it about time that humanity woke up? What do you think? Tell me in the comments, I'll be reading them. Now there's so much more to this that I couldn't fit in a single video, so check out my other videos like this one here, and make sure that you like and subscribe so that the algorithm spreads this information. I want to give a big shout out to everyone that supports on Patreon. If you ever felt like that you've learned something or gotten something from my videos, consider supporting on Patreon. You'll also get access to our weekly secret live streams and hidden Discord server, The Citadel. The link is right over here, or you can support my work on YouTube by hitting the join button below this video. Thank you, my friends.